Not sponsored. It says Philip. What are the chances? Yesterday, Philip had a Diet Coke that was almost my exact name spelling, which is very, very rare. There's never anything with even a close spelling on it. And then today I opened one and it says Philip. One extra L, but
Philip nonetheless.
Philip nonetheless. That's our excitement for tonight while we do a home decor DIY. So during this video, I decided to do a couple of little custom pieces of home decor that we can put around the house. And so these are going to be something that's specific to things that we like for our home, but easily could be revamped for things that you want to do for your home. And sometimes when I'm doing DIYs, I've really never done them before, like some of the ones I'm doing in this project. Let's see if they work out. And sometimes things are in your head and you just want to get them down into application. You just fingers crossed that they work, which is what this first DIY is. My envision for this was to use these Cork hot pads. You get 2 of them in a pack at the dollar store, and they are approximately 7 inches across, so they're quite large. And using my Silhouette Cameo, I created 2 different shapes, the same shape but just in a different format, to be able to trace onto these. And I'm gonna try to cut it out and show you what I'm going to try to make. So I'm gonna remove the vinyl and use it as a stencil. And these may be just a little bit bigger than my Cork shapes, but this shape is really easy to alter. I'm going to put it on. I think I'll start with the most important part that can't get. Oh dear, static. Fighting with the winter static. That's fine because that can be a little shorter. So the shape that I chose was a Monstera leaf, one of my favorite plants that I have, and I'm going to try to make some Cork coasters for the front porch or maybe for a coffee table. And then what I'm going to do is paint the tops just so that the back is more neutral. So thinking like some fun greens. I'm going to attempt with a brand new X-Acto blade to now cut the shape out once I trace it with a Sharpie. And I'm not worried that you're going to see the marker because I am going to paint the top. I'm going to see how skilled I am with an X-Acto knife or if the cork crumbles. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen.
Do you think you could cut it out on the scroll saw?
I didn't even think of that.
We could try it.
Do you think? That never even crossed my mind, but that might be a way better option. And I do have a couple of spares, so if it doesn't work, I'm up for the challenge. Challenge accepted. I chose 2 different shapes. Do you think the scroll saw might work?
I'm hoping for your sake, because I think cutting that will be clean, but might be a little difficult. And you could lose a finger, where I think if you scroll saw, it might be a little safe.
Oh, you mean lose a finger with the X-Acto? I'm like, I'm very good with the scroll saw thing.
No, I think you're really good with the scroll saw. I think anybody could lose a finger with an X-Acto knife.
He doesn't let me play with sharp objects. I'm very clumsy with sharp objects, actually. The holes are what makes it the shape. Those I'll have to pick out with the X-Acto, I'm sure. Are we gonna try the scroll saw?
Or it's up to you.
It's not the first time that I'm happy. It's not the first time I feel good. But it's been a while since that happened, knock on wood. I try to stay cool on the surface. I'd ask you to stay if I could. Though my lips are sealed, you still get me, yeah you do. That's why I said that we should be more than a couple. Of hours is not enough. So kiss me again and again and again.
So we're doing both techniques. Philip is cutting one out with the X-Acto knife and I used the scroll saw. So we're just gonna see which method was actually better. You're shaking the table so I have to pick up the camera. It was like you had the hiccups on the table.
I'm focused. I don't want to lose a digit.
I don't want you to lose a leaf section. Forget your digits. Better cut that leaf out properly.
Don't mess up the project. I get it. If you're gonna mess anything up, it better be your digits. Okay, I'm following the lines.
Oh man, I'm just kidding.
I'm just gonna cut one of the leaves off now in spite. Elysia's now using the knife to cut out all the little parts. I started with the knife on the leaf that Elysia's doing right now, but we realized very quickly that the knife although you can do it, it's way easier to do
with a scroll saw.
Yeah.
The knife was really chippy on the edges, and although it wasn't easy to do it with a scroll saw, it did work. I need to carve out some holes. This is the first project I've ever done with cork, other than like a cork board or something. Ah, they're so cute. Okay, scroll saw definitely worked better. X-Acto knife works a little harder for sure. But now what I'm gonna do is paint them, and I'm gonna do 2 different shades of green since the Monstera leaves, kind of the newer leaves are more brighter, the other ones are darker. So I'm gonna use a bright and a darker, more teal green and paint these up. And then a just really nice clear coat or even a clear Mod Podge will keep them a little more protected if you're gonna actually put drinks on these. I don't wanna get it on the side. I just wanna paint the top so you can see the cork along the edge trim. I like the color. I'm gonna do the other one a brighter green.
Yeah, it's dope.
You like my idea?
Yeah, I love them.
We'll have to be careful with them. They're more for like staging. But you really could clear coat them and then put a cup on them. These are just a little fragile because I like making things when it's like my idea and I didn't like see it somewhere and I'm just trying to see if it will work. Right? They're gonna be like, why weren't you using a bigger brush? Because we don't want to get it on the sides, right? And it's textured, so you kind of need like a small brush to push it in. Am I annoying you because I'm taking a long time? Just chilling. For the second DIY, I want to do a little personal logo that you guys know very well because we do the I love you in sign language symbol on our channel all the time. And I thought we really need to have this symbol in our house somewhere, and how was I going to do that? So I have a lot of pieces of this drop cloth that we used to make Dayton's tent bed left. And so I thought I might make use of this actual piece that we have. And I just did a little bit of a seam edge with the hot glue gun all the way around. There was already this nice stitched bottom on it from the bottom part of the actual seam of the drop cloth. And so I'm gonna leave that as an actual accent along the bottom. It has like a nice double seam. And so what I did was I used my cut machine to create the I love you symbol and stuck some transfer tape on it, saving you the grueling process of watching me weed out my image. And I'm going to now transfer this image. Hold it up and see if you can see it. Can you see that on there in the lighting? And I'm gonna try to work, I have to work ahead at myself here so that I can make sure it's even, and then I will turn it around and show you what I'm gonna do to make this a banner. You'd be amazed at how well contact paper sticks to fabric, especially a canvas drop cloth like this. And I just pick up my drop cloths. You get a huge 9x12 sheet for about $20 at Home Hardware. And so you can see I use them for lots of projects, and I never throw any scrap pieces because I can use them even to make pillows with paint stencils on them, all different things. I'm gonna weed off my transfer tape here. I'm gonna make sure I catch everything because once you stamp it, it's on there. There's no getting it off the canvas if you make a mistake. And I'm gonna make sure it's pushed down really tight because I don't want, oh, I see I missed a little. There we go. Because I don't want this to be really bright and flashy. I just want it to be the symbol there. I'm actually gonna use white paint on this canvas vinyl, and it actually does show up pretty good. And then we're gonna use the dowel and some jute and fancy this up a little bit at the end. So just using a makeup sponge, I'm going to sponge over my image with white paint, and I'm just using my regular beauty tone paint that I use for all of my projects. So I could do a thin coat first, and then I'll be able to let it dry and go over it with a second coat. So there is my I love you symbol. Oh, did I not hold it long enough?
You did, that's good.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And now what I want to do is I want to make my banner that I'm going to use hang. And so I'm going to use this piece of dowel. I've sanded it really, really smooth just so it had a nice finished edge and sort of rounded the tips here. And I'm going to do a little bit of a folded over crease there and then make it basically whatever length that I want. But before I do that, I'm going to use these tiny little eye hooks, teeny tiny little eye hooks, and I'm going to thread them into the end so that I can make a jute hanger that will kind of go as a triangle here to be able to hang this up. So let's get these in the middle of the end. I was like, what did I do wrong there? The knots just went to the other side. All right, so then there is my center rod, and I'm going to basically upholster it into here with the hot glue gun. And I'm gonna hot glue that across the back there. I don't want to flip it over because my paint's still a little bit wet. So that would be the ideal way to do that. I need to adjust my little knots here so they hang the same way. I'm gonna hang it behind me. DIY number 3, I'm going to make the letter E for our last name English. And I've been loving all of the dowel DIYs that I've been seeing online where people add the dowel to fronts of furniture drawers, maybe even around little pot holders or something. And so I thought it would be really cute to layer this E with some dowels and make it look really cute. So what I'm gonna do is use some super glue, and I've pre-cut a whole bunch of craft dowels to the different lengths that I need for my letter E. And all I did was use my miter saw, but if you have a smaller little hand saw and a little miter box, that would be best to do because the smaller pieces, depending on what your letter is, it could be very close to your fingers. So make sure to use the right type of saw that you're comfortable with. So I have some for my center ones here, some for my longer ones, and some for my smaller sections here. And I'm gonna glue them on, hopefully without gluing my fingers to my E. I think I should use super glue or hot glue. What do you think, Billy? Super glue or hot glue?
There's been a lot of people who've been gluing themselves with Gorilla Glue lately. Don't be one
Poor
of those
girl,
people.
do not put Gorilla Glue in your hair.
Eesh.
Can you imagine?
No, I couldn't imagine. I'd be freaking out.
All right. The title of my video, do not put Gorilla Glue in your hair. I always recommend Gorilla Glue, not for your hair. I think I have to use hot glue for this, unless I'm gonna sit here for 15 minutes with each one.
Then you will be glued.
It will stay. It's starting to get tacky, but let's use the hot glue. This like dowel look is super trendy right now. I need some WD-40. And there is my dowel E for our last name. I think it's so cute. So I can imagine this up on an open shelf, tucked in between some plants, maybe some books. I think it's really adorable. And you can actually paint these and then distress them on top once you are done and get kind of a totally different look if you wanted to. But I really love the natural wood look lately. And so I think this was a win. I love this one. Now I have to find a spot for it. So let me know from today's video, which of these DIYs was your favorite? Did you like the Monstera leaf coasters? Did you like the I love you banner or the dowel wood E? I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and being part of my DIY journey. I will see you guys on tomorrow's video.